in the amount of $540 to be dedicated toward the Winston Holding activities that unite people. Item I, authorize the city administrator to initiate the renewal process with Southwest Central Service Cooperative and Medica to provide health insurance coverage for the city of Winston employees for the policy beginning January 1st, 2025. Item K, authorize the city administrator to initiate the renewal process with the Hartford to provide ancillary insurance coverage for the city of Winston employees for the policy beginning January 1st, 2025. Item L, appoint Ms. Christine Kiddock to the position of utility billing clerk for the city of Winston at Step 1, Grade 3 of the proposed 2025 compensation plan through December 31st, 2025. Item M, approve the pledged securities that Security Bank and Trust Company has purchased for the city of Winston for the month of September 2024. Item N, approve the building permit report for the month of September 2024. Item O, approve the financial report for the month of August 2024. Last item, item P, approve the claims list for October 15th, 2024. That's the consent agenda. I'm looking for a motion for approval.
Mr. Mayor, a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, and I abstain from voting on item M.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Tonight we'll have a public hearing, and it's going to be on ordinance 020-2403, Winston Municipal Code, Chapter 1, Text Amendment. I make a motion, we open that hearing, and then I'll turn it over to Neil to bring us up to where. So I'm looking for a second to open that.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Go ahead, Neil.
Okay, so at one of our meetings here, we had talked about raising city council salaries, had gone back and forth about raising the base salary or not, and what we had decided was to at least give council members the $40 that all of our other commission members get for attending meetings. That will raise our budget approximately $5,000 over the entire year. And it raised from $25 to $40, and keeping the set salaries the same.
If anybody from the audience has any comments or questions on this, state your name and address for the record. Step up to the podium. Ask away. Okay, nobody wants to do that, so I'm looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close public hearing.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So we're looking for a motion for the ordinance. So the next item then would be a motion on the ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, a motion to adopt ordinance 0-24-03, an ordinance providing text amendments to Chapter 1, Section 3 of the Winston Municipal Code of the City of Winston, Minnesota, with relation to city council salaries.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. No old business, but tonight, under new business, our first item is joint and cooperative agreement for law enforcement services for the city of Winston and Lister Prairie. We'll start with Neil, and I'm sure, Justin, you'll be coming up.
Okay.
Don't leave it up to me.
So, as you guys are fully aware of, we've been working on this for quite some time, pretty much since I arrived here a year and a half ago or so. And I'm happy to say that we are moving in the right direction. Lester Prairie approved moving forward with this agreement contingent upon attorney review. And we're asking you to do the same this evening. And I'll turn it over to Chief Helt.
Yes.
If there's any questions you have, I think we discussed at length in our work session, but if there's any questions you have regarding the agreement or the plan moving forward, I'd be happy to answer them.
This, the target is January 1st.
Yes, sir. My input is I think this is a very positive step for both cities and both police departments. And the real winners in this will be the citizens of both of our communities, as we'll be able to provide them 24-hour coverage and have ultimate transparency and clear communication, which all of our citizens deserve.
And I know you've said this in the past, I don't know how many times at a council meeting, but how are the future officers taking this?
Yes, there's a lot of excitement with officers of both departments. I've spoke at length with Interim Chief Travis Wakefield of Leicester, and I know in speaking with him, his officers are also very excited.
Anybody have any other questions for Neil or police chief?
Nope.
If not, looking for a motion.
I'd make a motion to authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to execute a joint and cooperative agreement for law enforcement services for the cities of Winstead and Lester Prairie, Minnesota, contingent upon review by the city attorney.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Next item is Winston Municipal Airport Runway 927 Clear Zone Acquisition Plan, work order number 12, professional services contract, Bolton and Mink Incorporated. Neil, I know you want to take.
I do. So, as part of our funding and requirements through the FAA, we have to have a clear zone acquisition plan. What that means is we have to have enough room for planes to land and take off. We currently do have that, but we have to have that plan in place in order to continue to receive the funding that we do currently receive from the FAA. So this plan lays out, like I said, it lays out, where we might have deficiencies. As you can tell from looking at the plan, there's slivers of land that we will need to acquire at some point. But as it sits right now, we have the plan, and that is what is required of us.
Any questions or clarification from Neil? If not, looking for a motion.
A motion to authorize the city administrator and city clerk treasurer to execute work order number 12, the professional services contract between the city of Winstead and Bolton and Mink Incorporated to conduct project meetings and a clear zone acquisition plan for the Winstead Municipal Airport 10D for an amount not to exceed $10,000 with funding participation from the Minnesota Department of Transportation, MnDOT, Office of Aeronautics.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Get to do it one more time. Another resolution for the airport, Resolution R-24-33, Winston Municipal Airport State Grant Agreement for Snow Removal Equipment Acquisition. Neil?
Okay, and this is another project that has been ongoing since I first was hired. So as you know, we have a payloader and a snowblower that has been somewhat on back order for a while. We have a few hoops and to jump through here and I's to dot and T's to cross in order to get this to go through with our grant process. And in that grant process, you have a 90% match by the FAA, 5 local and 5 state. This is essentially just approving that if we are able to get this, we will get the money from the state or the grant from the state if we're able to jump through those hoops to get the actual equipment.
Any questions for Neil? Hearing none. Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution R-24-33, authorizing the mayor and city administrator to execute Minnesota Department of Transportation Office of Aeronautics Grant Agreement 108055 for airport improvement, including land acquisition for state project number A4306-41 at the Winston Municipal Airport for acquisition of snow removal equipment.
We have a motion, we have a second.
A second.
We have a motion, and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have two department reports tonight. First one is building inspector safe build. So if you want to come up and give us your pitch.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. My name's Al Green. I am the account manager and the business development manager for Safe Built here in Minnesota. I also cover Illinois and Wisconsin, and I do live in Illinois, so don't hold that against me. We have been doing business with the city of Winsted for 3 years now. And as you saw earlier, the contract's up for renewal. It expires on December 31st, and we appreciate the renewal from you. In front of you, there's a packet. I put together some information on what we've done for the city for the past year. So if you'd like to go to the second page there. The services that we provide, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce Mike. He is your building official here. So the inspectors and such that work in the city inspect the buildings, and the plan review report to Mike. Sorry about that. So we provide you building official services, building, plumbing, mechanical, and fire inspection services, plan review services, rental inspection services, and sediment and erosion control services. If you go to the next page, it shows what we have done for you from January through September of 2024. So there were 80 permits issued within that time frame, and you can see by month the number of permits that were issued. We completed 284 inspections, and 216 of those passed, and that's a 76% pass rate. So our pass rates usually average between about 70 and 85%. Okay, you don't want a 100% pass rate. Well, maybe you do. That means your contractors are perfect and they do everything perfect, or your homeowners that are trying to do things themselves are doing it perfectly. But we're there to find any kind of discrepancies noted and have the contractor fix it before the certificate of occupancy on a new home or whatever it would be is issued. The next page breaks down the inspections, permits, and such by residential and commercial, so you can see which portion of those are residential and commercial. So for example, the inspections, there were 146 out of the 284 that were residential, and 138 that were commercial. And I know you have a lot of commercial work going on here within the city. Any questions on that page? Okay. The next page breaks down your permits issued by permit type. So it will break it down by commercial and then your residential, and then by color. So there's new, there's miscellaneous, and there's alteration. So miscellaneous would be water heaters, windows, roofs, small, what we call over-the-counter permits. Of course, a new is new. We do some fire inspections for you, and land use would be any kind of zoning reviews that we do for you. Questions on that page? The next page is your valuation, and again, it breaks it down by the permit type, whether it's commercial or residential, and whether it's new, miscellaneous, or alteration. So you can see there in July, there was a pretty large commercial alteration permit issued. You happen to know who that's for, Mike?
I know Milburn.
Milburn? Okay, yeah. So, point out something here. the information that goes in here is only as good as the information we get. And I'll give you an example. I have a community in Illinois where there was a permit issued for new windows in the full house, and the person put down that the value of those windows were $2,000. Everybody knows you can't get new windows in your whole house for $2,000. So hopefully we will check in on our side when it hits us. Sometimes too, our permit techs in the office in Waconia will call and ask your clerks here whether that amount is right or whatever, if they catch something like that, but we try and catch it in most cases. So this should be pretty close, but sometimes people put down less amounts because they think it's going to keep the value of their house lower and their taxes won't go up and such. So they like to play it around. The next page, if you go to, shows your inspections completed. And again, that's broken down by commercial and residential, and then by color to show if it's new, miscellaneous, or alteration. And then on the next page, the one with the little pie graph there, that just breaks it down by trade. So it will show you if it was a building inspection, if it was a plumbing inspection, if it was a mechanical inspection, fire, or anything that falls into our other category. Questions? Boy, you guys are easy tonight. I did one last night. They weren't as easy on me. So thank you.
It's early.
Yeah, it's early. Yeah. The next page specifically breaks down your residential by type there, so you can see what's happening, whether it's miscellaneous, new, or residential alteration. And then the last column there where it says submittals completed, those are your plan reviews that come to us. And that will tell you if the initial plan review was reviewed and approved on the initial one, or if we had to go out for more information or didn't get the full packet that we needed to do a complete plan review. So luckily, actually, there was only one resubmittal in April. So the contractors that are working here in Winstead, I guess they're pretty used to us. They know what we're looking for. And if any are from the homeowner too, they read the permit application and gave everything that was needed. So that's good. The next page is your commercial. And the same, your permits issued, your inspections completed by type, and then your submittals. A few more submittals on the commercial end, but that's pretty common. As we get into the plan review, we'll notice, buildings need to be handicap accessible, and the plans don't include certain things that are needed within that plan. Questions on this? Okay. The next page then, again, is your plan review submittals together, both residential and commercial. So you can see which ones were approved on the initial submittal and which ones were not. So little results. So in the 9 months that I provided here, we completed 284 inspections with a pass rate of 76.6%, as you saw on the other page. The number of inspections has decreased over 2023 by about 23%. And that's pretty common for most of the communities we've been servicing in Minnesota. I've asked questions about that. Many of the city managers and such have said, number one, mortgage rates. So a lot of new homes are not being built at this time. Hopefully we'll see that pick up. Mortgage rates have gone down a little bit. They've told me it's an election year and people are scared to spend money and want to wait until after the election. So there's a number of reasons. I handle Illinois and Wisconsin too. I have not seen this in Illinois and Wisconsin. They've been pretty steady. We're not up, we're not down, we're steady, but Minnesota in general, including like Lake Elmo, which is, I guess, one of the fastest growing cities in Minnesota, their permits are down about 20%. So maybe we'll see that change after the election and into 2025. Questions? So the next page, we've met the SLAs for the city. So the SLAs, any inspections that are called into us by 4 p.m. are done the next day. Or if the person wants it a week out, we'll we'll schedule it at that time. But for the most part, they're done the next day. And then your plan reviews are all completed within the timeframes. The timeframes that are in the contract are residential plan reviews are completed within 7 days. Small commercial are completed within 10 days, and larger commercial are completed within 20 days, as long as we have the full packet. Questions? No? So the next page, there's 2 lines there. The upper part says Community Development Services. So those are the services that you're familiar with and that we've been providing here in Minnesota: planning and zoning, plan review, building inspections, and code enforcement. The Safe Built family has a number of other companies that do all these other things on the next line. So we do engineering, we do capital management, we do real estate right away, construction engineering. Parks and operations, we actually have a division in South Florida that if you see the guy out in the park cutting the grass, that's actually a Safe Built employee. They're contracting that out to us. We don't do that here in Minnesota, but, and then landscape architecture.
Do you want to?
Anything is possible,
Okay.
I'm told. So, I'm a salesperson, so I'll sell it and throw it over the wall and, hope it works. No, I would, it's something we're considering doing, and if there's enough interest, it's something that we can easily jump into. And then, of course, landscape architecture, Calvin Giordano and Associates, which is where our president resides from. It was actually his father's company that was a Safe Built acquisition that you'll see on a couple pages back. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and many of the cities around Miami and Fort Lauderdale have used us to do their landscape design and upgrade their park and their bridges and such like that. If you look on the Safe Built website, it will show you a lot of the projects. It's pretty interesting. I'd like to see some of that happen here in Minnesota. So, questions?
I have a hypothetical. I don't know if you can answer or not, if you're the right. Let's say I have a neighbor, lives across the street from me. Not a real neat,
Mhm.
cleanliness wise, but I can see visually that she's got a roof that's starting to cave in on her home.
Mm-hmm.
She's got some other issues of actual siding falling off the house. Is there, I know we have ordinances, but do you explain your inspection for a process like that? The complaint is coming from the city.
Mm-hmm.
So are you able to do an inspection on something like that?
We are not contracted to do code enforcement services for you right now. What do you normally do with code enforcement? Is the police department handling those, or? Yeah, it is something we can handle, but if it's a life safety issue, we could do that for you as a favor, is go out and, look at that, so as a one-time favor, look at that house and determine what needs to be done.
You would not be able to go inside,
No,
just a visual?
yeah, a visual on the outside. But if you can see the roofs caving in, you may want
That
to,
would be nice.
yeah.
So that would be enough for the city to proceed with?
I would think so. The laws that are in Minnesota.
I would think so, and then from there, well,
Well, I know we can't do an inspection.
Mhm.
Yeah,
we can.
Mhm.
So where do
At this point, we're not doing any code enforcement for the city, so it's the
Right,
city's
the inspector.
But we could.
we could go out there and take a
Yeah,
look at it.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, this is not.
So I think that's. Is there anything? Result. Determination of what.
That contract is, so
Yeah.
that would be up
Yeah.
to the city.
And I think, the question I have is, I don't think anybody that works for the city is qualified to make that decision.
And I think you need an engineer in this case too. I don't know, the city contract.
Can they do that inspection without going in the house?
Probably not.
Probably not.
But if the damage was that severe and you could see it from the outside, would that be something the city, in your opinion, should pursue?
If it's a life safety issue, I would want to pursue it. But that kind of depends on your ordinances also.
Ordinance, I think, is pretty strong. We've used it in the past, but
Yeah,
this is would be a totally different situation than what we dealt with in the past.
Homeowner. Entering the building.
Well, let's say my neighbor lady we can't get a hold of her, not in town.
that's a hard one. I mean, if it's bad enough, I guess you can condemn the house, but it would depend on your ordinances. Yeah. I would talk to your city attorney.
Yeah, okay, I'm just trying to get a fact, that's all.
Is the house far enough away from any other houses? It's not
No, it's in the neighborhood.
close.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the
Let's
house,
say nobody's complaining because she's a lovely little old lady that,
yeah, probably doesn't have the money to
right,
fix it.
or, yeah, or other issues.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard one, but if it's really a life safety issue, you want to take some kind of action.
I think in this particular case, if it looks like it's caving or not caving and what about to, I'm a neighbor, like what I'm looking at, and I'm concerned with kids in the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure that the city doesn't overstep its bounds.
Yeah.
So I'm asking the expert.
I mean, we'd be more than happy. Like, or, you know what I mean? There's a fine line there. Write it in, be more than. All of that.
Well, as a neighbor is one thing, but as one of the officials of the community, if we have that and a neighbor comes to the council, we need to know what our plan would be, our options are, and how far we take it.
I'm not an attorney, so.
Well, what are you doing here then?
There's so much that we can, for some, oh,
If this building looked like it was, you could visually see it and it looked really bad,
Mhm.
would that be enough to allow the city to go forward with the next step?
I would think so. Again, yeah,
Okay.
consult with your attorney to be sure, but I think so.
I just want to make sure if there ever becomes an issue that we know what we're supposed to be doing. Anybody else have any questions?
It's a hard one, and if the person doesn't have money to fix it, we have a house like that in my neighborhood too. And I asked, it's actually unincorporated, and the county actually happens to be a customer of ours. And I asked him, and he's like, "There's not much we can do there."
Okay. You guys have anything?
Yeah, I do. I was going to ask Mike, how's your cooperation with the city been? And I was going to ask the city staff how their cooperation with Mike has been.
deal a while back. So that's, most of the cities rep are in ideally a lot of homeowners.
What have you heard from your staff?
I think our staff, yeah, I haven't heard no
It's pretty smooth, or else I hear about it and I'd be talking to Neil.
Yeah, it's been smooth from our end, other than the person that deals with it left. So, for the most part, then when Maddie left, so there'll be a little transition there, and then obviously Mike's new. So,
And
Generally, you only have
yeah.
five on that front.
I don't know if you guys know the history, but originally you contracted under MinSpec. MinSpec was owned by Scott Qualley, who was your former building official. He sold to Safe Built 3 years ago, October, so about 3 years ago, and that's when I came in. Also, I've been with Safe Built for just about 4 years, and he stayed on. He's still actually on our staff. He contracts with us, and he does some work for us here or there, but he's officially retired. Safe Built also officially this year started rebranding the MinSpec name. In fact, I got an email today going back and forth that we needed to register Safe Built because we were registered under MinSpec. And that's happening, but like all the emails changed recently and stuff like that. And Scott was the BO for all 38 communities that we have in the in the Twin Cities area. We've divided it up so that now there are 5 building officials, so they have less communities. They can spend more time in the communities. Mike is one of them. We have 1 east and 1 south. We have 7 or 8 communities in the Rochester area, and Mike happens to be the west rep. And we have 1 up north and 1 down south. So it seems to be working much better too than Scott being pulled to all 38 communities at one time. But yeah.
Any other questions? Well, thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. You have my card if you have any questions, and Mike's cards are up at the front. I think they're up in front.
They are. Yep.
No.
Mike, don't screw up. Okay.
Thank you. The other organization report is the Winston Public Library. You're up. You can pass this.
Bye.
One side.
You're a big fan.
Not like-
Thank you.
Well, all right. Katie would have loved to have been here, but she has no voice, so hopefully this will go well. If not, we'll be done in 5 minutes anyway. So, my handout is not as exciting as his. I have no pretty graphs, no, you just get pictures. That's all you get with me. So, that is just a snapshot of what her remarks are. And she wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you, and we are here, well, I am here to share a brief overview of the library. And so she created the photo handout to hit some of the highlights for you. One of her main points this year was going to be to remind you and to thank you for making the library a central point downtown. The location is perfect for what we need, and we are one of the anchors of downtown and have been since, I believe, 1976. So for the 2023 annual report that she has to put together every year, the library recorded a total of 6,653 visitors, which is up from 5,967 in 2022. And then just this year alone, from January to September, we've already had 6,407 visitors, and this doesn't include the quick pickups and the curbside services to pick up materials. Free Book Fridays are always a hit, they continue to be in high demand, and it's a good way to keep donated books and library discards here in the community. And this fall, I'm also doing a puzzle exchange. This is my second year doing this program, so we're constantly bringing people into the library, even if it's not for programming like we used to. We just don't have the space for part of it. But we have combined with the senior group here and are able to use the Volmer room, which we will be doing on Thursday with the Felting class. And being downtown provides us with some unique opportunities, like our big picture windows. We do the sidewalk story times because I'm not able to do in-person story times at this time because it's just me working there. And so every week we put up a different story. We have the crafts to go with it. And since our presentation last year at this time, we've done over 110 different kits. And oh, I love her remarks. Just how popular are the kits? A total of 2,133 kits were distributed, with an exclamation point. It's Katie. As a downtown business, the library strives to be a strong community partner. We are part of the Chamber of Commerce, and we are one of the people who do the Business Jerk Retreat. And last year, this event brought almost a little bit over 1,100 visitors just to our spot at the library. And we are continuing, as I said, to partner with different organizations here in Winstead, and our newest one is the senior group to do the Felting Art Workshop, and then we have a full class this Thursday, like I said. But funding for this program is made possible thanks to legacy grant funding, and there's no cost. We try and keep the cost low or zero for people, just because that's what libraries kind of do. We offer a variety of programming throughout the year. The returning programs each year include Booktoberfest, adult winter reading, and summer reading for all ages. Winstead is unique in that it offers summer reading activities not just for children, but also adults, and not many smaller libraries offer this full range of summer programming for all ages. And one of the things that she really wanted to highlight, she has it in bold, so I'm assuming, is just how important the library is to the community. When people think of books, when they hear the word library, they're missing that we serve as a community connector between people and businesses. And lots of life happens at the library, and the library's interactions stretch far beyond its walls or even the business hours. Like daycares and schools pick up books to share with children, where we partner with the HLWW Little Lakers to get them books every 2 weeks. Family and friends order and pick up books for their loved ones who are in the hospital or long-term care facilities. Community book clubs. I have 3 that I get books for every month. We have served as a neutral location for supervised visits between parents and their children. People count on the library for computer services, especially printing. The library provides necessary tax forms each year, although I do tell them I'm not an accountant and I'm not going to jail if they get the wrong form. And then her favorite is when the grandparents come pick up the craft kits to mail to their grandchildren, and then they do like a phone call and they do them together. She also wanted to thank you for your continued funding support for the library's collection development. And looking ahead to the 2025 budget, the city's continued support is just as critical as ever. And we continue to be extremely mindful as we work with an ever-growing lean budget, which we do. And when we can, we do try to find other means of support. We just got a $600 Prairie Lands craft grant, which will pay for another, another felting class this winter. And then we are going to be doing other Prairie Land, that's like the southern part of Minnesota, marketing grants and other grants, and legacy funding through the state is the other thing. And then any patron and supporters that do monetary or book and DVD collection also helps too. I'm just reading the rest just to make sure that I'm not going to trip up myself this again this year. Oh, and we'd like to especially extend our sincere thanks to Mayor Stotko for all of his support of the Winstead Library over the years. He has been a wonderful leader for the community and advocate for the library. He has done more for this community than he will ever know. And then, questions?
Now I know why she put you there.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Well, last time remember, I just read the thing and it was, Lisa is so great. So this year I said, please don't say that if I'm going to read this by myself. So, all right.
If someone wanted to donate money to the Winstead Library. Are you a nonprofit?
Not yet. We are working on that. I think we'll be doing that next year. That's what we're working toward.
Okay, and then if someone had books they wanted to donate, what do you take, what don't you take?
I do not take encyclopedias or dictionaries. I just encourage people to recycle those. I do take mostly fiction, but I'll take whatever, and if I don't use it on my shelf, then I put it on the free book Friday. Somebody will take it.
Children's books?
Absolutely, absolutely. Fiction is the big thing here at our library. That's what our collection tends to be based around.
Okay, thank you.
How about the children's summer reading program? You still do the competitive event every year where the kids come in and read every week and report their points and all that kind of thing?
We do a different. It depends on who is my summer reading coordinator. I let them decide how they're going to do it, but yes, we still do it. It's still a pretty good program for us, and we just don't do story time in the park right now because again, it's just me. So I'm
Very good.
One person show there.
Do the ambassadors come in and read?
They have not for a couple years since COVID because
Okay.
again, I don't do the story time at the park like I used to.
Okay.
But that's something, again, the in-person story time is something that I would love to do again. It's just not feasible at this time.
Okay.
20 years ago, when the internet started to become popular,
Mhm.
there was great fear that the libraries would not survive, but I think they've gotten stronger.
I have been at the library, well, it'll be 25 years next month, and I have seen the changes, and I think that we keep up with it pretty well, but we always have that core group that will come back because they just like to read. But that's why we do the other things as well.
Well, personally, I never used the library till about 3 years ago, and I didn't think much of it. But I can see how important it is to the community, not just because I'm reading now.
You learned.
Yeah, I finally got to learn how. But I can see the value of it. I think it's important that we do whatever we can to support it.
And I think you've been in there when it has been an absolute zoo, so you
Yes, I have.
see all of the people and you see everything that they're doing,
I
so.
used to think I was, vacated the place when I walked. But lately, it's not been like that.
No, it just depends on the day. It really does. Any other questions?
Congratulations on 25 years. That's a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
It's like a lifetime. I did not think I was going to be a librarian when I grew up, when I was a kid, to be quite honest. So-
Well, we're glad you're ours.
Well, Katie had that in here too, but I did not read that out loud. Because she said that, I don't remember where it is, but it's something about that the community, the community loves the library for sure. Of course, this list could go on and on. I've seen firsthand how much the community loves its local library and Lisa as their treasured librarian, but, let's,
So I had somebody tell me that you guys will tender out hotspots for people to use as well, too.
yes.
I was completely unaware of that. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure, we have rotating, I think we have two, but they go out throughout the system as well because we are one big happy family, we share. But that is something that we can, if you get on the waiting list for it, as soon as you're not, and they go pretty fast, and so you get it for a month, and it's a T-Mobile hotspot that you take home, and then you're not using your own data, you're not using your own anything, it's like a Wi-Fi right there. And a lot of our homeschoolers use that, I know, and other people who don't have internet access.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're very popular, so I rarely have them on the shelf.
This library has two, or the?
No,
Libraries.
we do. We have two. I don't know how many there are in the system. And if they don't get turned in, they get shut off, so it's basically a brick. And so it's, people tend to return them because, well, you just don't want a thing sitting there. But yeah, they're very, very popular. And I think they got them originally through a state grant. And then they just took off from there. And they've added more, I know, because they've been in such high demand.
Lisa, can I ask a question?
Sure.
No process for that.
You just come with your library card and you just say you want to check out a hotspot, and then if I have one on the shelf, I scan your card and hand you the hotspot and say, have a nice day. And then if I don't, then I'll put you on the hold list for it, and then as soon as one comes up, it'll come here for you.
Somebody would have to
Yes. Yep, just a driver's license with your current mailing address. Yep. Yep.
What are the hours of
Change
the
that
library?
name. But it reminds me of all the time I spent in the not the bar either.
I don't know if I can help you with that. That's above my pay grade level right there. So I can't really help you with that. Was there another question?
What are the hours of the library?
Monday and Wednesday those are our late days, 2 until 7, and Tuesday and Thursday 10 until 1, and then Friday 2 until 5, and then Saturday we're open just a brief window 10 until noon. It's an odd thing, but Sharon Nordenberg, the former librarian, said that's how it's always been because they figured that way they could get the people coming home from work, and then they could get the families and the older people here in town. And then Friday, it just is what it is. Yep.
Anything else?
Any other
No,
questions?
thank you very much.
You are very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
We've come to the open forum section of the meeting. If anybody wants to address the council, step up the podium.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I just wanted to mention, starting November 1st, our winter parking ban goes into effect. I don't believe we have a city council meeting prior to that. So just so the community is aware that there is no parking on the city streets, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Like years past, we do give permission for parking on the street. We just ask that you call the police department at 320-485-2600, and everything will work out.
Thanks, Justin. We've come to part of the meeting we really enjoy the most. City administrator update and announcement.
You don't know how hard it was for me to not ask Lisa if that was fiction and not or nonfiction when she was saying those nice things about you. But anyway,
I'll clear it up for you. Fiction.
so well number 4, pumps installed and flushed. Sent the samples in for testing. Hopefully that'll be up and running by the end of the week here. Completely. Election day is November 5th. We have the voting is open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the Volmer Room, which means that our next meeting will be November 6th, moved to Wednesday because of the election. And the Winsted Chamber Business Trick or Treat is Friday, October 25th at 4 p.m. start. That's it.
Any questions for Neil?
No,
Tom, you have anything?
I do not.
Jeff?
No.
Jesse?
What are you dressing up as?
He's already wearing it.
Mayor Stocco.
Yes,
That's
he's
all.
dressing as an old guy.
Looking for a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.